Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Raha, Kodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and the elect. I'm Ari Zabat out of the GMS Dallas camp. I'm going to entitle this lesson, YAHAWASHI, Praise for the Elect. And the troubles, the long sufferings, the tribulations, and the vexation of this world. Yahawashai understood what the apostles, and at that time what he was teaching his disciples, were getting ready to go through. So these precepts here goes into how Yahawashai prayed for the elect, the chosen, the remnant, and, to keep us doing the work, and that's pretty much what we're getting into. So we're going to start out with 1 Timothy, the second chapter, and it reads, 1 Timothy 1 and 5. 1 Timothy, Salakia. 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 5, and it reads, "For there is one power and one mediator between the Most High and men, the man Hamashiach Yahawashai." So there was the only one who can go before us and mediate before us to the Father is Yahawashai. Just like during the first covenant, because in the first covenant, this is beautiful. In the first covenant, you had Israel being led out of Egypt. And when we broke that covenant, the first covenant, by breaking the law, statutes, and commandments, our mediator back then was Moses. You see? Well, Moses was the high priest that was able to, mediate for the people of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, okay, who are Israelites, Hebrew Israelites. Moses had to, go before the Most High, Yahweh, and mediate between us, because when we go off, he was there, reconciliating, for our sins we were committing, So that's what a mediator does, All right. So that's pretty much what's happening here with the disciples. Yahawashai had to be our mediator. And this is going into the second covenant, which we're not in yet. But this was that grace time because some work has to be done. And this is why Yahawashai prayed for us. And this is the whole purpose of this title of this lesson, because, Yahawashai, through his death, burial, resurrection, is now our high priest. So now we can we have access to a mediator for us directly through Yahawashai to the Father. All right. So and you also have to remember, we were casted away, and through again Yahawashai's death, burial, resurrection, we are being reconciled, and that's what happened when you come into this truth, and that's what you're waking up to. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into the lesson here. We're going to grab John, and we'll start with the John 17. We'll start with verse 1, and then we're going to jump down. All right, this is John 17, verse 1, and it reads, "These words spake Yahawashai, and lifted up his eyes to heaven," showing you that, as the Christian church, Wackatacky Christians, as we call them here at GMS, they say Yahawashai. I grew up in it too, that, they're a holy trinity where they all, just one being when they're all separate. Okay. And This here clearly shows you that these are two different entities here, because it reads, these words spake YAHAWASHI and lifted up his eyes. That's one thing that he's doing. He's lifting up his eyes to heaven and said. So he's speaking towards the heaven, saying, Father, the hour is come, glorify thy Son. You see, that thy Son also may glorify thee. Okay? And this is just showing you that, there are two different people. They're not the same people. All right? And also, this is the first precept I use, because this is, showing you that Yahawashi is praying. Okay, so that's one of the main things we should be doing in this truth is praying a lot. Let's go ahead and grab, jump down to the 14th verse. But I wanted to bring that out because this shows you that, Yahawashi is praying for his elect, because he's going to get more into it. This is John chapter 17, verse 14, and it reads, I have given them thy word, and the world had hated them because they are not of this world. All right. And that's one thing we're going to focus on, is that, this world is full of lies. Okay. That's why this world, hated them. And the reason why, when we come into this truth, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, waking up to who we are as a people, we find out that there have been lies scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Lies about who the real chosen people are. You have people who's currently residing in Israel calling themselves the people of the Most High, and they're not. And according to prophecy, the real Israelites will be in Babylon the Great and scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. You see? So these lies that's been going out in the world is going to hate the men of the Lord, because the men of the Lord are going to bring out the truth. Okay? And it reads, again, starting from verse 14, I have given them thy word, and the world had hated them because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. And it's a precept. Let's go ahead and grab it. We're not going to read all of it, but let's get that in Matthew chapter 4. And this is the temptation of Yahawashi. And it reads, Then was Yahawashi led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And see, this is the same thing, and the same reason why, this world hates you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, is because of who you are. And it goes further than that, because it's going into the chosen and the elect. Okay? And the elect are the ones that they hate. And we're going to skip down to verse 8. And it reads, Matthew 4 and 8. And again, the devil taketh him up into a high exceeding mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and said unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. So this is one of the things that the world tries to do, is to get you to love this world and have the lust after this world. And this is what Yahawashi was praying for when it came to his chosen and the elect. They're not going to love the things of the world. Okay? And that's why I want to get that account. We can go back to John chapter 17. Back down to, I think I'm on the 15th verse now. And it reads, verse 15, I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. You see? And this is the purpose of the elect right here. Because the reason why we have to be in this world is because of the gospel. preaching His truth. The chosen and elect has to be quickened. So this gospel has to be preached throughout the four corners of the earth, because the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the Hebrew Israelites, the true Hebrew Israelites, are scattered amongst all the nations throughout the four corners of the earth, okay? All right, verse 16. They are not of this world, even as I am not of this world. Verse 17. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. Okay? And sanctify means to purify. You see? And, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we have, this word has to be preached throughout the four corners of the earth, because it's evil, it's wicked. And our people, we're following after those customs, doing wicked things as well, Verse 18, as thou hast sent me into the world, even so I have also sent them into the world. Who are the them? The them is the elect, all right? And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also might be sanctified through this truth, through the truth. So this is what's happening right now. When you come into this truth, you putting off the old man, and when you're converted, you're putting on the new man, because that's where the renewing of your mind, begins. You're acknowledging that, hey, I've fallen short, I've sinned, I've transgressed the law. How do I repent? You have to be converted in the mind, and that comes through studying the scriptures. Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. Being under the right teachers, following the correct doctrine, calling the right names. Yahawah, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI. Teaching 100% truth, doing the work, your videos. All right. Verse 19, and it reads, read it again. And for their sakes, which is the elect, I sanctify myself, that they also might be sanctified through the truth. In verse 20, neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word. Okay? So, and this is going into the elect, having the same mind. Verse 21, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me. You see? So this is the only way that the world is going to, that the elect is going to receive this, that they were going to awaken and be quickening, is through this truth and preaching 100% truth. That's why we have to have the same mind as YAHAWASHI. And that's why the remnant will be saved out of this, because they're going to continue to, try to build the kingdom of David. We're going to continue to preach this gospel and build the throne of David, All right. So let's grab John, the 21st chapter. All right. This is John chapter 21 and verse 20. All right. Then Peter, turning about, seeing the disciple whom YAHAWASHI loved following, which also leaned on his breast at supper, and said, Lord, which is he that betrayed thee? Okay. And this here is the Passover that's going on, that's being taking place right now. In this chapter and verse right here. So let's keep reading. Peter, seeing him, said to YAHAWASHI, Lord, and what shall this man do? And YAHAWASHI said unto him, If I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? Follow thou me. And Yahawashi was stern in what his reply to Peter, because he just letting them know that, hey, this is for me to know. It's none of your business, And reads, if I will that he tarry till I come, meaning that he'll be alive until he return. That's pretty much what he's saying here. All right, verse 23, and it reads, then went this saying abroad among the brethren, that disciple should not die. Yet Yahawashi said not unto him, he shall not die, but if I would tarry till I come, what is it to thee? And this is just showing you that the elect is going to be saved in this truth. Pretty much. Let's get verse 21. This is the disciples which testified of these things and wrote these things, and we know that his testimony is true. All right. So, again, Yahawashi, he was very stern in the way his approach was. Okay. Let's grab the same verse in the NLT, and it reads, verse 24, the disciple is the one who testifies to these events and has recorded them here. And we know that his account of these things are accurate. Yep. And the reason this is how, we was going to end up being, saved in this ministry, and this is why Yahawashi had prayed for his elect. And before they became apostles, they were being taught as disciples by Yahawashi. Okay? Let's grab Peter, 1 Peter, chapter 4, and verse 1, and it reads, for as much then as Hamashiach has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. For he that had suffered in the flesh had ceased from sin. You see? And, we're all called to this truth, to suffer. Okay? And, this is where it starts for us. It begins in this truth. You see? Let me read that again, the second half. For he that has suffered in the flesh had ceased from sin. And that's because this world, is a vexation when it comes, to the men of the Lord. Because all of the evil and wickedness that we're witnessing on a daily basis, Verse 2, and it reads, that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of the Most High. All right. And, that's before the truth, that we're no longer, in verse 2, that he no longer should live the rest of his life, his time in the flesh. And that was before we came into this truth. But to the will of the Most High, this is talking about right now, while we're building the kingdom of David, the throne of David right now, it's being built. So that's what this is going into. This is going into right now. That's what we do in the will of the Most High, out here on the highways and byways, doing the videos, preaching this truth throughout the four corners of the earth. The word going out via YouTube. So that's what's happening right there. All right. And let's grab Luke chapter 22, and we're going to grab verse 31. All right. Let's get verse 31, and it reads, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan had desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. And you have to understand, this devil understands who we are as people, And this was Simon Peter that Yahawashi was speaking to. And, to Satan, the chosen and the elect is a prize to him, Let's get a account for that in 1 Peter chapter 5. We're going to go to verse 8. Start from verse 8. And it reads, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." You see? Whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. So this is Satan, he look at us, he look at the chosen and the elect as a prize. And that's why he wants to sift you. He understands that his rulership is almost over with, and it's going down, and the throne of David is next. You see? All right. Let's go back to Luke chapter 22. We're going to finish it off in verse 32. I believe I was on. Verse 32. And it reads, "But I have prayed for thee," and this is Yahawashi speaking, "that thy faith fail not." So Yahawashi is praying for the elect. And let's get, he prays for the elect. Let's get Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 6. And it reads, "But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him." And this coming through stuttering and spending time with the Most High, having that relationship with him. Okay? And let's grab Ephesians real quick. Let's get that. Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 8. And it reads, "For by grace you are saved through faith." You see? "And that not of yourselves. It is the gift of the Most High." All right. So going back to Luke 22 and verse 32, I believe. "But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren." And by doing this ministry and work, that's how we're going to strengthen our brethren. By studying, again, doing your videos, being there, for your classes, those things, doing the work, going out to the highways and byways. Okay? That's the work that we have to continue to do. All right? Being brotherly, serving. All right? And Peter, himself, was doing those, being strengthened as well, because, he was casting out devils, performing miracles. Peter was out there doing the work. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. And with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and elect. Shalom.